If you are a business owner and want to expand your business footprint within our region, advertise your business on this station, WJAY Radio. Call and ask the friendly and professional staff about our new business broadcast special. You're in for an amazing special and it's priced
Hot day in radio, man.
business market potential without breaking your advertising budget. This offer is available to new and current customers. Call us today at 843-561-3021 or 843-610-3142. Everybody should know about your business. Call us today. WJAY.
Call a ride today. That's First Choice Motors in Mullins, South Carolina. Call 843-464-4005. Ask for Crystal. She'll get you riding today. That's 843-464-4005. First Choice Motors at 4706 East Highway 76 in Mullins, South Carolina. We have used cars, Honda Accords, and so much more. Call Crystal 843-464-4005. Be sure to tell them that WJY sent you by.
You know, it's the law to recycle used motor oil in South Carolina. That's right. It must be recycled. If you have your oil changed, the car dealership, garage, or quick lube, then your motor oil is recycled by that business. Remember, if you change your own oil, you must recycle that used motor oil. What can you recycle your used motor oil? Call today the Marion County Environmental Services at 843-423-8234. That's 843-423-8234. Call today. Recycle your used motor oil, Marion County.
Our time stands as 8:30. We're going to switch over to Studio B and say good morning to you, Brother Michael Jenkins.
I'm still hearing the music. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to PD Sports Wrap. My name is Michael Jenkins. Welcome to the program today. Higher. Up. Yeah. Thank you, Taylor. Well, I've got some things I want to talk to you about today, but I was just thinking about last night's game between Orlando and Detroit, and I tell you, Orlando seemed to have had that game wrapped up 24 points in the first half, and they end up losing going away in a closeout game, a game that would have put them in the next round of the NBA playoff, to now having to make that trip back to the Motor City for Game 7. We're going to talk about the NBA a little bit more later, but that thing is just hanging on my mind all morning, and it's just amazing to me that those kids weren't able to close Detroit out last night. But at any rate, it's baseball season, and the high school baseball tournament is about to kick off next week. And thank goodness there are teams in there from Marion County. Actually, Marion and Mullins baseball teams are both in the playoff. Imagine that. They're both in the dance. They've both struggled this year, but, the baseball guys have awarded them, and now they'll get to play some bonus baseball coming up next week. Okay, let's take a quick look here at Mullins. And Mullins finished with a record of 5-12, 3-9 in the conference, which placed them fifth. And obviously, fifth place was good enough to get them into the state playoff. Let's see. Standings. Let's take a look at that region 8-2. And looking at the region here, Atlantic Collegiate is them and East Clarendon are both at the top of the conference. I don't know what's going to be decided there, but they are at 11-1 in the conference. East Clarendon is at 11-1 in the conference. Lake City comes in at 8-4 and third place. Marion 6-6, and Mullins at 3-9. So they're at 4-5, the two of them. Overall, Marion is 6-15. Mullins is 5-12. Looking at Mullins' scoring, they did pretty good scoring wise. They scored 294. No, 512. 229 runs. No, I'm sorry. They scored 86 runs and gave up 229. But that's where they are right now. They'll play next week. Marion has a record here of 7-10. 6-5, and I'm sorry, this is the softball team. We want to go to the baseball team. And right now, to the region, ACA, Marion, here we go. Yeah, they're 6-15. I think they played Green Sea on yesterday. They lost to them 11-0. They lost to East Clarendon 23-5. So it's been a rough stretch, but nevertheless, in the end, they're in the playoff, and that's the only thing that matters. That they are in the dance, and they will have a chance to advance and go further. Now, we have some other teams locally here that are really prime time and are really one of the 2 or 3 favorites to win state this year. And one of them will be the Latta Vikings. And Latta right now sports a record of 18-7. Their last game was on the 30th. They beat Johnsonville. But the conference shapes out this way. Lakeview is the top dog at 10-2. They are followed by Latta and Hannah Pamlico, both at 8-4. Green Sea pulls up to 4th place at 7-5. Johnsonville at 5-5 is in 5th place. Carvers Bay 2-10. They're in 6th place, and Hemingway did not win a game either way this year. They're winless. It's kind of a shame what's happening. Ronald, good morning, my brother. How are you today? And good morning to everyone out there this morning. I'm glad you decided to drop in and join me today on this kind of rainy Saturday morning. But that's why I got my gear on, because when I leave here, I'm getting ready to go out to the fields and see what's up with my corn. Yeah. But truly, corn is in the field in Dillon County, Marion County, and Marlborough County. Marlborough County's corn has been out there now for weeks. So that we're looking at about 6 or 7 inch high corn already in Marlborough County. But like I said, they always plant theirs earlier than we plant ours down here. So that's the region. I wanted to take a look very quickly at some of our other local teams here. Our other local teams like Wilson. And Wilson right now is in the playoffs as well. They're at 9-3 in the region, 12-13 overall. So they won 9 of their 12 games were region games. That's pretty impressive. Because those are the games you really have to win. Now, looking at Region 4A, this is this Region team season? Okay. Hartsville is the top dog at 12-0. They're 21-5 overall. South Florence is second. They are at 9-3. Wilson is also at 9-3, and they're in third place. South Florence is overall 15-12. Wilson's overall 12-13. Darlington is fourth place at 5-7. 7-14 overall. Lakewood is 5-7. 6 and 13 overall. Lower Richland is 6th at 2 and 10, and they're 5 and 16 overall. And Crestwood rounds out the bottom part of the region at 0 and 12 and 3 and 16 overall. Let's see what else we got here. And of course, we're looking at the tournament starts. This is the Class 2A on the 5th. So this is the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. What's that, Tuesday? The 2As will kick off. And I just scrolled down to check for local teams. And there's Mullins. And Mullins will play Bridgers Prep. And that game will be played on the 5th. Marion will also play. Now I wonder who's home here. Okay. Bridges Prep would be the home team, so Mullins would have to travel. They don't have an opponent for Marion here, but they will also play on the 5th. So, looking at some other, this is 4A right here, and 4A has nothing filled in. There's no teams in there yet, nothing. Pamela, good morning. How are you doing, ma'am? Looking at 5A Division 2, well, they don't have anything in there either. Nothing. So I want to take a look at Dillon as well, because Dillon is also in the playoff, as is Lakeview and Latta. Lakeview and here's Dillon. Dillon is at 13 and 5, 6 and 4 in the region. They didn't have a great week. In fact, I think they lost back-to-back games to Aner. I know that they hate that probably more than anything else. On the 21st, they lost to Aner. They lost back-to-back games, 6-5 and 5-4, before they went out of conference to play against St. Paul's, out of state too, I think. But their next game is on the 7th, and that is a playoff game, and that game will be played against Keenan. So good luck to the Dillon Wildcats. I'm sure right now that they're basically just thinking about football over there anyway, pretty much. You know, Dillon. It's all about football, buddy, even though they've had outstanding programs in other sports as well. Now, Lakeview, top dog in the region, that's Region 6, and they're sporting a record of 10 and 2. Latta and Hannah Pamela, as I said, they come in second, both with the same record. So Lakeview, Latta, Hannah Pamela, Green Sea, more than likely Johnsonville, all those teams, chances are, should be in the playoff. And chances are one of those teams are going to be crowned state champs this year. Dillon County has a great opportunity with Latta and Lakeview, who are excellent teams. Chances are, it's a very good chance one of those two are gonna win state this year. I was gonna say cut down the nets, but that's basketball. What do you say in baseball? I don't know. But let me switch right now to the NBA. Oh, wait a minute. There's something else I want to do here. I still didn't tell you completely about Marion's softball team. Here they are. Marion's softball team is 7 and 10. They lost to East Clarendon. No, I'm looking at this, and there's forfeitures going on here, and I'm not sure why. Do anybody out there know why Marion forfeited 2 games to East Clarendon? Because that's what happened. Looking at the schedule here, on the 27th and 28th, says 1-0, and that's the score they normally attach to forfeits. 1-0, forfeit. On the 28th, 1-0, forfeit. And now they move on to the playoff, which start on the 6th. And they are in it, and they are at Andrew Jackson. I think they played them. I think they might have played them a couple of times in the last 2 years or so. I think Andrew Jackson was one of the teams that they played against. But don't quote me on that. So, oh boy. Let's take a look at the NBA now, which is really, really good. I don't know if you've been watching, but there have been some very interesting storylines going on in the NBA. You got the situation with the Boston Celtics, who were probably favored to come out of the East this year. Don't ask me why, because I never saw it that way. But now they find themselves in a situation. They went into a series against the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Sixers were kind of like a mess. You didn't know if their big center, Joel Embiid, was going to play. Oh, my sister-in-law. Hello, Marcina. How are you doing, honey? Joel Embiid had just had an appendectomy before the playoffs started. Somehow he got into, I think it was game 2 or 3. He didn't look great, but he showed some signs. The 76ers, before this playoff started, were not a team anybody picked to beat Boston. But all of a sudden now, they have come back in this series and they've tied it. And they've made it a 7-game playoff. This game will be played today in Beantown. Now, I believe the 76ers can win this game. I think they're the better team. I think a healthy 76ers with Paul George, Tyrese, what's his name? What's the kid's name again? Maxey, as well as some other pieces on that team, makes Philadelphia potentially very dangerous. Boston, who I told people, are basically a 2-player team. You know, you're talking about Jason Tatum and Brown. After that, who do you really have? Think about that for a second. You've got no big men really that can guard anybody, especially when Joel Embiid is cooking. There's nobody on that team to guard him. Tatum and Brown are spraying jump shots from everywhere. I told folks also that those other pieces on the team, like Derek White and the Pritchard kid, are people who can be stopped, who can be slowed up to the point where Brown and Tatum will not be able to carry them. So the key to stopping Pritchard is to make him put the ball on the floor and let him have to deal with your front court guys at the rim. You don't let him stand out there and throw up threes all day. You don't let him walk into threes, because that's when he's at his best. And that's when Boston is dangerous. So you keep those guys, you keep him quiet, and you kind of manage how you handle Brown and Tatum. And that may be your best formula for victory. Now, Embiid is an interesting case because the guy just had an appendectomy. Now he's back, and he's looking pretty scary. Now, of course, you guys all know Albert Lewis out there, Mr. LeBron James and Mr. Dallas Cowboy, Mr. this and Mr. that. He wanted to make me a wager the other day on the Knicks series. because I told him that the Knicks were going to beat Boston. And then he says, the Knicks, Boston is going to beat the Knicks in 5. So I said, okay, I'll take that one. He said, no, I don't want. He said, I want it for the series. I said, too bad, not happening. So the Knicks are lying in wait for the winner of Philadelphia and Boston. And I will tell you this. I think Philadelphia will be a tougher series for the Knicks than will Boston. First of all, Jason Tatum is probably not going to play today. You know, he was out all year with that Achilles, and he came back, and, you know, you had to be impressed with how he came back and how he came back playing. But the other night he got hurt again. And we're going to talk about that as well. I don't think it's the same injury from before, but nevertheless, he looked like he was favoring himself out there since I've seen him, since he came back. So you don't know, you favor one thing and you can hurt another thing. But I think even if they were to overcome the 76ers today, and I don't think they will, they're not going to beat the Knicks. And Boston fans are jumping up and down. I said, who do you guys think would win between Boston and New York if they were to match up in the playoff? And almost unanimously, they all said Boston. Now, I understand Boston is the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference. I get that in the regular season. But when you look at them and you look at the makeup of their roster and you look at the makeup of the Knicks roster, I don't think there's any comparison. I think the Knicks roster is much deeper. And this is not my old Knicks love coming to the forefront because, I've been hating on them for years after being a fan of them my whole life. But I'm not mad at them anymore. I'm just looking at it from an independent point of view. And I believe that the Knicks are coming out of the East this year. Now, I want you to go back over the years and think, have you ever heard me say that? Even once, okay? The Knicks are coming out of the East this year. Cleveland, soft. It's just something about them that makes me think that they could possibly lose this season with this series with Toronto. But even if they don't, I don't see them as a big threat to the Knicks. You're looking at some other teams there. Detroit. I had Detroit, Orlando, and Atlanta here. And I must touch on Atlanta for a minute because these guys don't have no guts. No guts for the game. No love for their fans. No. What the Knicks did to Atlanta the other night was tragic. After Atlanta had played so well. Now, granted, the Knicks this series should have never even gone as far as it did. But Atlanta jumped up and did a few good things and won a couple of games. Now they were set up for the game back in Atlanta. And those guys didn't show up. They were absolutely destroyed by the Knicks on their home floor, in front of their home fans. It was tragic. So Orlando, last night, what happened to them, it wasn't the same thing, but it was pretty nasty what happened to them last night. It was very similar experience for their fans to have to sit there and watch that. Atlanta fans, I just don't understand. I just don't understand how they could have gotten through that as poorly as their team played. But Orlando has another chance. They have to go back to the Motor City, and they got to win a game. Now, they can do it because, they've been running circles around Detroit pretty much for most of the series. But Detroit has a guy named Cade Cunningham, only been in the league a couple of years. I had only heard of him during the NCAA tournament when he played. I was impressed then. I'm much, much more impressed now. This guy is a straight baller, okay? He's going to be a superstar if he's not already one. He was the leading candidate for the MVP most of the season until at the end when he got hurt. But Cade Cunningham is the real deal. Cool under pressure, great shooter, great scorer, defends. The guy is focused. I love that kid. He's one of my new guys, Cade Cunningham. The 76ers have a host of players that, when you put them all together, healthy, they are a problem. And none more so than the big man, Joel Embiid, who's really playing well right now. They have no answers for him. Boston, I feel, is in trouble. They don't have a great bench. They don't really have a great starting five. One of their starting guards, Derek White, is a basket case right now. This guy can't throw one in the ocean. He's not even really looking. He doesn't have that look that he had when he was pretty decent. Now, I personally have never envisioned Derek White as a starter. I tell people he couldn't start for me. He's a bench guy. So you bring him off the bench. Now he looks terrible. He looks confused. I don't think he'll be in Boston next year. This is a really bad look for him. And you barely can call any of the other players' names on the team. I don't really know these guys. So look for the Knicks to come out of the Eastern Conference. I'm calling it right now. Finally, I agree with something Stephen A. Smith says. And I never agree with anything that guy said. But looking over in the West, and some things have been going on over there as well. The Lakers won last night, so they move on to the next round to play against Oklahoma City. That's not going to be pretty. I just don't think it's going to be pretty. The Lakers are not that good, and especially not that good without Luka. But I think even with Luka, they're going to get handled in 5 games. The problem is LeBron plays good when those guys are not there. They play good when he's not there, but they don't play good together. Even though they did have a little stretch toward the end of the season where they were pretty good. The Lakers are not a bad team. They got pieces. But I just don't know how they're going to do against the defending world champs. Oklahoma City is good, and they're deep, and they lost a player as well. Let me hit on that real quick. Injuries are killing the league right now. Man, you got top players you got Anthony Edwards from Minnesota, who beat Denver, by the way, to move on. He's probably not going to be back. You've got the kid Jason Williams from Oklahoma City. He got hurt. They don't know if he's going to be back. Let me think about some others here. Who else do we have? And then, of course, you got Jason Tatum, who may or may not be done for this series. Lots of injuries. What's the reason behind it? What can the league do to kind of thwart this rise in Achilles injuries and such? Now, I know that it's not an option to reduce the number of games in the schedule. That would be too easy, but not for them. Because when you start doing the math, that's a lot of money that'll be lost. If they chopped off 10 games per team, instead of playing 82 games, they're playing 72 games. The owners are never going to go for that. The TV networks are never going to go for that. So forget about that part. But we've got the Spurs, we've got Oklahoma City are probably the 2 best teams out west right now. I would have to say they are. And I would think that one of those 2 are going to come out of the West to meet the Eastern foe for the championship. The Spurs are really, really good. I would pick the Spurs to beat Oklahoma City. I would not pick the Eastern Conference winner to beat Oklahoma City. But if the Knicks got in and won the East, and the Spurs were the representative from the West, I think that would be a pretty good series because the Knicks have beaten the Spurs this year. They have handled them. Now, the Spurs in their outings against Oklahoma City, they've beaten them. So I would pick the Spurs to come out of the West. At any rate, the basketball is really good. The NBA playoff is really good. I'm not just talking about, guys missing shots or making errors out there. The excitement and the intensity is there. And I've watched more games in the last week and a half than I've seen all year long. So I'm excited. Today should be fun. As I said, Boston's going to get beat today. So you can go ahead and count on that right now. They're not going to win that game, especially if Tatum is not there. Now, no new news on the football coach at Marion High School. I did hear some things last week that some guy from Wilson might be the guy. I don't know. I understand that they've interviewed some for the Mullins basketball coaching job over there, Sean Brunson being one of them. I would also suspect Alice White to be in there. I know that Michael Dees from Marlborough County also interviewed. In fact, he told me that. He is the fiance of one of my coworkers. So that's how I got to know him. And I remember when he played basketball for Marlborough County as well. But anyway, it's time to make a decision. Basketball and football, Marion and Mullins, and they need to go ahead and do it because it's getting late. Spring practice starts next week. We need to have a coach. We need to have a coach in place now. Anyway, that's all the time I have. I'll be back next week with more. Have a wonderful, safe week. Peace.